Good morning and welcome to MLUC. My name is Susan Taka and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Whether you are joining us for the first time or have called this community home for many years, we are glad you are here. And of course, welcome to all of you who are joining us on Zoom. Today we gather to explore the radical nature of Jesus' early teachings. In a time of widespread distrust, his message invites us to reconsider how we relate to those beyond our familiar circles, challenging us to direct our attention and our hearts to the stranger. If you are visiting with us today, we extend a warm welcome. We would love to meet you and hear what brought you in our doors. In the spirit of that radical hospitality, I hope that everyone will go across the hall, see the new art exhibit after the service, into that fireside room, and join us for coffee, tea, and refreshments. It's a lovely, informal way to connect and a wonderful way to turn our attention towards one another as we build this community together. Our service today will be led by Reverend John Morehouse, our senior minister, and Dawn Starr Saris-Borchelt, our director of learning and family ministries. Music will be provided by David Brown, our music director, Jody Brown on piano and organ, and our very own expanding MLUC choir. Our worship associate today is Steve Witt. And as always, many thanks to our media team. So as we gather this morning, I also want to remind you that there's so much happening in the life of this congregation. I invite you to take a moment and look at the back of your order of service or visit mluc.org to learn more about upcoming events and ways that you can get involved. So now I invite you to please silence your electronic devices and then join together in affirming our mission statement. Together, we transform lives through love, service, and our welcoming faith.
Good morning. James Baldwin was a renowned author and civil rights activist. Nobody, no man or no woman, is precisely what they think they are. Love is where you find it, and it's a terrifying thing. It's the only human possibility, but it's terrifying. What happens when you can't love anybody? You're dangerous. You have no way of learning humility. You have no way of learning that other people suffer. And you have no way of learning how to use your suffering and theirs to get from one place to another. The longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romance, is a work of mirroring and magnifying each other's light. Gentle work, steadfast work, life-saving work in those moments when life and shame and sorrow occlude our own light from our own view. But there is still a clear-eyed, loving person to beam it back. In our best moments, we are the person for another. Now please rise in body or spirit and join us in our opening hymn, 18, What Wondrous Love.
I do have a story to tell you this morning, but first I want to remind you, if you don't know already, tell you that this Sunday is my last Sunday with you before I take a sabbatical. Do you know what the word sabbatical means? Some of you do. It's a special kind of time off from your job, and you can only take this kind of time off after you've already worked in that job for a long time, many years. And sometimes you plan some special work that you're going to do during that time that you don't usually have time to do. And sometimes you might spend a lot of time resting. And it just depends. I'm going to do some of both of those things. Some people think of a sabbatical as a time to travel, and I'm not planning to do that. I'm not going anywhere. My sabbatical is for 3 months. So that means you won't see me in April, which is next month. And you won't see me in May, which is the month after that. And you won't see me in June, which is the month after that. But then I will be back at the beginning of July. While I'm gone, there are a lot of other people who are making sure that the things I usually do keep getting done. So I'm going to call out some of those people. Some of them might be here, some of them might not. So if you're here and I say your name, you can stand up. Anaya Coop, who is my program assistant. Margot Wirt, who has amazing timing and just walked in the room. And Mia Carpinello, who I don't think is here, and they are the co-chairs of the Children and Youth Faith Development team. Some other people on that team are John Heller, who is here, Karen Zamperini, who I don't think is here, Julia Rosa, who might be here, but I haven't seen, and Tina Kochel, who was going to be here, but her kid is sick, so she's not. And then Sue Compton, who I haven't seen, are you here, Sue? No, I don't think so, is the chair of the Adult Faith Development team. So those people, and then everybody who's volunteering, which isn't things that I usually do because you're all volunteering anyway, and then our staff team who will also pick up certain pieces so that everything keeps getting done. So back to the story. This week's story is a story that Jesus told. Jesus was a great teacher, a wise teacher, a long time ago, and he liked telling stories to teach lessons. There's a person in this story who's called a sower, and I want to point out that this is not like somebody who sews with a needle and thread. This is somebody who sows seeds to plant a garden. One day, the sower in this story went out to sow seeds. First, the sower went along the path and sowed some seeds as she went along. They just lay there on top of the dirt. And very soon, some birds came down and ate up all the seeds. Next, the sower came to a place where there were a lot of rocks, and the sower scattered some seeds as she went along, and they fell on the rocks. And those little seeds began to grow, but they couldn't put their roots down into the rocks very far to get to the water. So when the sun came out, all the seeds, all the little plants dried up. The sower scattered some more seeds, but they fell among the thorns. The little seeds put their roots down in the thorns, but the rain came and washed them all away. Finally, the sower came to some good, rich dirt. She sowed some seeds there also. When those seeds put down their roots, they went deep into the dirt. And when the sun came out, the roots were protected by the good dirt, and the little plants grew. When the rain came, the roots held onto the good dirt and soaked up the water. The little plants grew and grew and grew, and soon the sower had plenty of good grain to harvest for the winter. I wonder which part of this story you think is the most important. I wonder if the sower did anything else to help the seeds grow, or if they just... I wonder how so much grain comes from such tiny little seeds. I wonder how you help things grow. So I love all of you. I will miss all of you, yes, even you. Somebody was thinking that, I know. I don't know who it was, I don't, but. And I will be grounding myself in some good, rich dirt, metaphorically, so I can do some more growing. And I'll be back. And I would invite today, children and youth, to join me in the atrium so we can sort ourselves out.
Each month, we donate half our weekly collection to a worthy organization in need. All this month, it's been Mitzvah Circle, located in Lansdale. Mitzvah Circle supports individuals and families in need by providing diapers, clothing, period supplies, and school supplies, ensuring that parents can work and children can go to school, and no one has to choose between food and hygiene. Mitzvah Circle has a teen ambassador program that provides a unique opportunity for high school students entering grades 9th through 12th to make a difference in a world and develop leadership skills. The leadership program combines service and personal development. Mitzvah Circle also provides job referral and coaching. They collaborate with 255 community partners that serve vulnerable populations in hospitals, shelters, and schools. In 2025, Mitzvah Circle assisted over 500,000 people. This organization aligns with the UU principles of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and justice and equity and compassion for human relations. If you wish to make a cashless donation either at home or here in the sanctuary, please scan the QR code on the inside of the order of service. You can also make a cashless donation by texting the directions, yes, following up on the screen behind me. The offering will now be gratefully received. Will the ushers come forward? Thank you, David. That was amazing. It's our custom to share our personal joys and sorrows, expecting to be heard, accepted, and supported. Candles of Community is our ritual. Candles of Community is our ritual of sharing and support. After each candle is lit, please join me in saying, "We hold you in our hearts." Terry Dixon would like us to light a candle of sorrow for his mother who died peacefully on Tuesday. Terry was with her in Ireland, and for Terry and his family, we hold you in our hearts. We light a candle of concern for Barbara Nadine. Hope I'm pronouncing that. Her daughter Renee writes that Barbara has been in assisted living at Columbia Cottage in Palmyra, PA, and sadly has transitioned to hospice. Barbara was active in small group ministry here and founded a group that still meets at church on Monday afternoons. For Barbara and her family, we hold you in our hearts. We light a candle of concern for Nuala and Michael Carpenter's daughter, Linda, who had a fire in her house this week. The kitchen was destroyed and there was smoke damage in the rest of the house. Sadly, one of her dogs fled and was killed by a train. For the Carpenter family, we hold you in our hearts. Okay, we light a candle of joy for the Jenkins family, who welcomed Elias James Robert Jenkins on March 24th. He's a healthy, but a little underbaked, they say. So he remains in the NICU until he's ready to come home. Mom, Ashley, Justin, and big brother Ethan are all looking forward to his homecoming. For Elias and the Jenkins family, we hold you in our hearts. Did anybody go to the No Kings rallies? Okay. We light a candle for all those who participated in the peaceful demonstrations yesterday, and we hold you in our hearts. And for all those joys and concerns that are too deep for words, we light one more candle.
Very mysterious, this special announcement. With thanks to the Social Justice Director search team, and particularly to Lloyd Cole, the chair, for a marathon and sprint to the finish, we are very happy today to announce our new Social Justice Director, Reverend Lisa Shalinsky. Reverend Lisa goes by she and they pronouns, and they are currently serving the congregation in Washington Crossing as the part-time director of social justice and pastoral care. Their resume was absolutely amazing and perfectly fitted for what we have to do here at MLUC, and I am very excited about the beginning of what I think will be a tremendous ministry. Reverend Lisa will not begin until July 1st, as she is finishing up her contract with the Washington Crossing congregation, as well as being on parental leave because her partner and they are having a baby. Wow. So this is a big reminder, everybody. The pledge drive, remember that? We're about 20% from our goal, which is actually quite amazing because the goal went up from 750,000 last year to 800,000 this year. If everybody participates, and I mean everybody, whether you're online or here in the sanctuary, within the sound of my voice, if you fill out your pledge today, we can get there. We can break that record again and send ourselves and the Ministry of Social Justice right up through the roof. That's what it means to have love rising. And so, folks, I'm inviting you today to stop by the pledge table outside in the atrium and make your pledge if you haven't done so. The real goal is to get everybody to participate. It's very important whether you're a member or a friend of the congregation. And thus endeth the special announcement.
I gather them up in the
I was raised on the kind and warm-hearted Jesus portrayed in Unitarian Sunday schools. The Jesus I knew loved little birds and little children. He cared for living things. This Jesus I knew as a kid didn't have anything to do with the end of the world or sins unrepented. He could do some really neat tricks with wine and bread and fish. I got a little more cynical in high school. I remember as a teenager, I went to the rock opera Jesus Christ Superstar. And I can remember that line from King Herod when he taunts Jesus and says, "Show me you're no fool, walk across my swimming pool." Then going into young adulthood, I could remember that old country ballad, "Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? All my friends have Porsches. I must make amends." At some point in my young adulthood, I wandered into a Baptist church, a Southern Baptist church, and I can remember the preacher railing on about the economics of sin. That was the title of the sermon, The Economics of Sin. This was Paul's theory. Augustine enhanced it. That said that Jesus came down to buy back all the sins of the world through his resurrection, and that in believing in him and believing in his ministry and his divinity, we somehow would become saved. And I remember the preacher leaning over the pulpit and saying, "And we didn't buy in." Jesus died, he said, without nearly the number of subscribers his boss wanted. But he said there was good news for us. And if we were willing to come up and be saved, Jesus would take us back in. I didn't buy that then, and I don't buy it now, because I don't believe that Jesus died for our sins so that his Father God would forgive us our sins. The whole thing strikes me, to be quite honest and very respectful for my Christian friends, a little ludicrous. I believe, though, that Jesus was bringing a more loving kind of forgiveness to the world. The forgiveness in a world that was beset with struggles and inequities, where might made right, where the rich got richer and the poor got poorer. Sound familiar? Jesus was an apocalypse. He believed in the coming of a new world. Again, the world apocalypse doesn't mean the end of the world. It means a turning of the world. A world in which, as he said, the last would be first and the first would be last. He might have been a zealot, that revolutionary arm of Judaism at the time that was out there actually assassinating Roman officials. But I do think that whatever he was bringing a message that was radically different than anything the ancient Roman world knew. And I believe that the reasons that the story and message of Jesus have survived so long was not just that he was charismatic, he must have been that, and not just that he represented forgiveness. I believe he had this new understanding of the way the world could be. And I believe quite fervently, actually, that Jesus was made in the Christianity that followed him a God, human, close, and personal. Now, whatever you believe about Jesus, and this isn't one of those sermons, I'm not here to convince you about anything, whatever you believe, know this, that this understanding of forgiveness and care for those you didn't even know was radically different than anything the ancient world had ever seen. We take for granted that when there's a flood or there's a natural disaster or even something that happens in our town, we're going to reach out and help people. But in the ancient Greco-Roman world, that simply wasn't the case. You helped people that you knew. If you were rich, you might help the people that you had patronage with, but you didn't help strangers. You wouldn't even know who they are. So imagine the shock that Jesus delivers with this story, the parable of the Good Samaritan, in which a man is bleeding on the side of the road, having been robbed and beaten half to death, and the Samaritans were the enemies of the Jews, by the way. They were the enemies. This would be like Osama bin Laden helping out somebody injured, okay? This is somebody completely different than what we know. A Samaritan helps the man, while the other two priests walk by the other side of the road. The point was that a stranger helped a stranger. And that stranger helping a stranger was something that the ancient world had never seen before. That, I think, is part of the radical message that this prophet from Nazareth was delivering to the people. Jesus is famous for three commandments. The first two are from the Hebrew Scriptures. Love God with all your heart and your might and your soul. The second one is love your neighbor as yourself in the book of Isaiah, what is also known as the Golden Rule. But he had a third commandment. Anybody remember what that one was? Love thy enemy. Love thy enemy, he said. Now, I think that may be, especially at a time like this, a bridge a bit too far. I can remember, as I'm sure many of you can, the Sunday after 9/11, after the attacks on the World Trade Center, the attacks on the Pentagon, and United Flight 93 going down in a field here in Pennsylvania, I can remember driving to church to deliver a message. I wasn't exactly sure what the message was going to be, but I knew the place would be packed. I'd asked the local imam to come and say a few words as a way of helping to bridge some understandings. And halfway between my house and the church in Frederick, Maryland, was a little Baptist church, and they had a little sign out front. And the sign said, Jesus said, love thy enemy. Matthew 5:44. Wow. Talk about chutzpah. Of all the days you go with that? I tried to find a way to balance that ideal of loving someone completely different than myself, but I just couldn't get to that. I couldn't get to love thy enemy, right? Several months later, I met the pastor of that little church. I asked him about the sign, love thy enemies, on the Sunday after 9/11, and he said he received death threats for it. He said half his congregation left the church. I asked him why he posted it at all. He said, it's easy for us to say love thy neighbor. We can get behind that even if our neighbor throws beer cans in the yard. But Jesus was asked to carry a love to a whole new level, to rise beyond hatred and fear to a love rising in God or the divine, as he put it. Love thy enemy seemed like the most radical thing I could say that would portray the radical love that Jesus had for all people. He said, maybe I should have said, love thy stranger, because those who we make out to be enemies are usually just strangers to us. Now, these were prophetic words, to say the least. I mused about that idea of love thy stranger for quite a while, until one of my favorite biblical scholars — did you know ministers have favorite biblical scholars? We do. Bart Ehrman, some of you have read his stuff. He wrote a book just released on Tuesday called Love Thy Stranger. I was like, oh, whoa, stop the presses, I'm going with that. I read the book in like a day and a half. The point here is that love still transcends fear. However we define the love, and in the Bible, it's usually, in the Christian scriptures, it's usually defined as agape, which is the Greek word for the love of all. That love, I believe, lives on in each of us. It's deep-seated, and it has to be about something better and greater than what you perceive to be right or wrong. It's about the humanity at the core of who we are. Rumi once said, and you know this if you've been following this Persian poet over the years, our idea, out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there's a field, I'll meet you there, right? There's another line to that poem. When the soul lies down in the grass, the world is too full to talk about. The world is too full. Right now, it is full of acrimony and hurt and pain and war in the Middle East, and people being kidnapped off our streets, And millions of people in the street yesterday for the No Kings protest, several thousand where we were in Ardmore. So many people in front of the Quadrangle retirement living place that they were like spilling into the next block. I was afraid someone was going to get run over. That power of humanity is something greater than any of us have ever seen before. And it's not just about anger. I know that we're angry. I know that we're feeling like all of this is falling apart. But friends, that is the turn of the world I think we're living through. Today is Palm Sunday, that day in the Christian calendar when Jesus is said to have come to Jerusalem riding on a colt or a donkey, depending on the translation. Now, I believe Jesus knew he was on a suicide mission. He was going to go and turn the tables over. He was going to rail against the priesthood. He was going to rail against the Roman authorities, which ultimately got him killed. He knew that something was going to happen, and it wouldn't be good, but he was ready to go. Now, it is said that he picked the colt or the donkey because it was the antithesis of power and domination. Also because it was foretold in the prophet Isaiah that the Savior would come, the Messiah would come riding on a donkey. Because there was another procession on the day of Palm Sunday. At the head of legions of Roman soldiers was Pontius Pilate on a white horse, marching from his villa on the Mediterranean to Jerusalem, where he took up residence with the soldiers during the Feast of Passover. The Jews, weary under Roman domination, hailed Jesus as a Messiah because they believed that finally there would be someone to turn the tables and the last would be first. And this disconnect, I think, between what the people desired because of their desperation and what Jesus knew to be impending doom on his part must have been painful. But he came to revolutionize the cosmos. He came to change the very reality in which we live. So when Jesus marched triumphantly, they say, in Jerusalem on a donkey, he was not expecting to free his people from Roman domination. Maybe he thought God would show up at the end and turn everything upside down, but he wasn't entirely sure. Now, you can't be sure what Jesus was thinking, but I like to think that. Because he knew that he was going to be betrayed, it says according to the scriptures. He was going to be betrayed. He already knew he had someone on the inside who was going to turn him over. But I'm asking us today to look at this more metaphorically, more mythically, as a path that we might trod. You see, we naturally can love people who are like us. I hear that a lot coming in here. I'm glad to be around people who think like me. And I'm glad you're here around people that think like you. But where we're going now, we're going to need to be around people who do not always think like us. At the protest yesterday in Ardmore, as our choir was singing their hearts out, woo, yeah. I saw so many people singing who I thought might be strangers amongst us if they showed up on a Sunday. A lot of military caps, the name of their ship if they were in the Navy, the unit they were part of, the 82nd Airborne, the Marines. I saw people singing their hearts out who probably wouldn't have come to a protest like this a few years ago and may not be willing to buy what we're selling here either. Now, this is what, when Susan talked about the radical call to hospitality, that's what this means. Because, friends, we're at the edge of what I call the messy middle. It's going to get messy. I'm so glad Reverend Lisa's going to be here to help with the messy part, because it's going to get messy. People are going to walk in who are not like us, who don't just think like us. We'll still find sanctuary. We'll find joy here. This is the place where we should find that. But we will also stretch. And in our lives, as we meet other people and we're talking about the things we need to do to right the world in which we live, we're going to meet people who don't necessarily think exactly like we think. And that's the moral revolution of Palm Sunday. You see, we're growing here in part because people need a place for respite and joy. But we're also growing here because people need to stretch beyond themselves in order to change the world. The path of Jesus into Jerusalem, the path of our own lives, is beyond retribution, it's beyond power, it's beyond that war, it's beyond ICE kidnapping our neighbors. It's really beyond all of that. It's to the greater humanity that we say we believe in, right? The inherent worth and dignity of every person. That's not an easy thing if you think about it. The inherent worth and dignity of every person? Every person? That's not easy. But I do believe that if we begin walking down that path, we will set ourselves free in ways that we did not think we could. And that's the power of love. That's the spirit of love. That's what's calling us to love the stranger as the neighbor. It requires we overcome our fear and our suspicion and our caution. They're normal human reactions, folks, but what makes courage is knowing something is fearful and yet doing it anyway. And remembering that we were all immigrants, right? Jesus was also an immigrant, at least to Jerusalem. He was also a poor farm worker. We've all come here on the shoulders of others who've worked so hard. Jesus said, I want you to go and do likewise. He would say that all the time. The story of the rich man who came to him and said, what must I do to get eternal reward in heaven? And Jesus said, well, you should, follow the commandments and do right by your neighbor and do all those things. I'm doing all that. He said, okay, here's the last thing. You must give away everything you own and follow me. And the young man went away crestfallen because he could not do that. Now that's a tall order. G.K. Chesterton once said, it's not that Christianity has been tried and found wanting, it's hardly been tried. I think that is a tall order. Not many of us would give away everything we do. Although that, by the way, giving away all your wealth is what led to monasticism. Giving that all away may not be where we're willing to go. And I don't know that that's true or necessary, but what I do know is that giving away our fear and opening ourselves up to someone who is different, now that is powerful. Let me close with a familiar story. Some of you know this story well from the Palestinian-American poet Naomi Shihab Nye. I think it's particularly important right now in the war in the Middle East, and what's happened in Palestine, and what happens in our own lives here. The poem is entitled Gate A4. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal after learning my flight had been delayed 4 hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate 4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses, she said. Gate A4 is my gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dressing, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled on the floor wailing. Help, said the flight agent. Talk to her. What's her problem? We told her flight was going to be late, and she did this. I stooped, and I put my arm around the woman, and I spoke haltingly in Arabic. Shudaha, shubahuk, hapati, stanishachwe, mentadik suja biswe. The minute she heard these words, which were imperfect to say the least, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled. She needed to be in El Paso for a medical procedure the next day. And I said, again, in poor Arabic, no, we're fine. You'll get there just later. Who's picking you up? Let's call him. We called her son, who spoke English. I told him that I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane, and I'd ride next to her on the plane. And she talked to him. And then we called her other sons just for the fun of it. And then we called my dad, and he and she spoke in Arabic and found out, of course, they had 10 shared friends. And then, just for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets and let them chat with her? This took 2 hours. And now she's laughing a bit. She pulled out a sack of homemade mamoul cookies. Anybody had mamoul cookies? Oh, God. Little powdery, sugary, crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts. Very good. And she offered to all the women of the gate, only the women. To my amazement, not a single woman declined the cookie. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo, we were all covered in the same powdered sugar and smiling, for there's no better cookie. And the airline, as if bringing out the wine, broke out the apple juice and the huge coolers, and two little girls went around and made sure everybody had a drink, and everybody was covered in powdered sugar. And I noticed now my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag, some medicinal thing with green furry leaves. Such an old country tradition, always carry a plant, always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around the gate of late and weary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in, the shared world. Not a single person at that gate, once the crying and confusion stopped, seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies, they drank the apple juice. I wanted to hug all the other women as well. This can still happen, she wrote. Not everything is lost. Today, beloveds, I challenge you to reach out to just one person this week outside your comfort zone. As Jesus said in the Beatitudes, the measure of our humanity is how we treat the least of these, especially the strangers. This is the work that we need to do. This is the work we're being called to do. This is the next step in the march to the revolution. So may it be now and always. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 131, which we sang yesterday. Love will guide us. Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing it with heart. Love. A blessing from Rob Bresnay. A blessing on the meals you cook, a demised democracy collapses. A blessing on your healing hands that mend what empire breaks. A blessing on quiet mornings when you choose to rise again. A blessing on the stories you preserve when others would erase them. A blessing on your vigilant heart beating steady through the storm. A blessing on the seeds you scatter in neglected places. A blessing on the elders, for from them we learn the power of wisdom. A blessing on our mutual aid networks flowering in capitalism's dark shadow. A blessing on kitchen table strategies where sly revolutions simmer. A blessing on the wild songs we sing when courage starts to falter. A blessing on your strategic joy deployed against despair. A blessing on the future being born in what you do. A blessing on the bridges you build between wounded communities. And a blessing on your sacred rage that fuels the work of justice. A blessing on your children's children who will know what you defended. A blessing on the future you dare to imagine. So may it be, now and always. Please remain seated for the postlude.
All Oh,